The last flight of Icarus. The spacecraft Icarus, named after the mythical Greek adventurer who flew too close to the sun, was on the brink of embarking on its most audacious journey yet. Equipped with humanity's first experimental space-folding technology, the mission was to pierce the veil of known space and chart the unexplored fringes of the universe. On board was a crew composed of an eclectic mix of scientists, engineers, and military personnel, each preparing for a moment that promised to be a historic milestone not just in their careers but in the annals of human space exploration. Commanding the ship was Captain Elena Vasquez, a veteran of countless space missions. Her unwavering calm and iron-willed determination had saved her crew from certain disaster more than once. As she watched the final preparations, a mix of anticipation and nervousness grew within her. This flight was the pinnacle of her career, a voyage that challenged the very nature of reality as we knew it, promising glory or damnation. The chief scientist, Dr. Amir Rajan, was engrossed in his final revisions of the space-folding algorithms. The theory behind the technology was so complex it defied conventional understanding, based on equations that few in the universe could fully comprehend. His calculations promised not just to travel faster than light, they proposed bending the very fabric of spacetime itself, creating a shortcut through the cosmos. Yet, the margins for error were unimaginably small, and the risks unpredictable. When Icarus took off, it was a spectacle that captured the attention of millions around the world. Soaring into the night sky, the ship quickly became a bright point disappearing into the dark vastness, leaving behind a trail of hope and wonder. The control center erupted in frenetic applause as the ship activated its folding drive and vanished from view, swallowed by a dazzling flash of light. Inside Icarus, reality was starkly different. The crew clung to whatever they could as the ship was shaken by violent turbulence, the white light of spacefolding engulfing everything around them. And then, as suddenly as it began, the turbulence ceased, leaving a disturbing silence in its wake. They had arrived, but where? The stars outside the windows matched no known constellation. Dr. Rajan rushed to his instruments, desperately trying to make sense of the data flooding his sensors. "This isn't possible," he murmured to himself, "we're outside our universe." Reality began to unfold in ways that defied any logic. Impossible geometric shapes floated through space around the ship, glowing with lights of colors that didn't exist within the human visible spectrum. Gravity inside the ship fluctuated erratically. At one moment, the crew felt their weight double, and the next, they floated weightlessly through the air. Captain Vasquez, maintaining her composure, attempted to rally her team. "We need to find a way back," she said, her voice a beacon of determination in the growing darkness. "Dr. Rajan, is there any chance we can reactivate the fold to take us home?" But before Rajan could answer, a new terror took form. A massive shadow slid into view of the ship, its contours distorted as if the very space around it was reluctant to touch it. It emitted no light, instead, it seemed to swallow the light around it, a wandering vortex of darkness. The crew huddled together, their pale faces reflecting a growing fear as the dark shape began to encircle Icarus. "What is that?" someone whispered, their voice quivering with terror. "I don't know," replied Captain Vasquez, her voice now containing a slight tremor. "But we need to stay away from it." Dr. Rajan, his mind a storm of frantic thoughts, began working on a solution. His gaze fixed on the monitors, typing commands with a speed that defied belief, trying to find an escape route, anything that could offer a glimmer of hope for return. The ship was now completely surrounded by darkness, the shadowy form pulsing as if alive, a malevolent presence lurking, waiting to devour them. Terror within Icarus grew as strange phenomena began to occur. Objects started to float without reason, control panels flickered and went dead randomly, and whispering voices filled the corridors, speaking in unknown tongues. The crew was on the verge of madness, every shadow seeming to hide unspeakable horrors, every flicker of light bringing glimpses of nightmares beyond comprehension. Elena Vasquez, facing the most terrifying challenge of her career, knew time was running out. They needed to find a way out, or Icarus and her crew would be lost forever, swallowed by a universe where the laws of physics did not apply, and unimaginable horrors lurked in every shadow. The fate of Icarus lay in the hands of its fearless captain and the courage of her crew as they faced the unknown in their desperate struggle to find their way back home. As darkness enveloped Icarus, a significant difficulty emerged. The ship's propulsion system, their only hope of escape, began to fail. Warning lights flashed frenetically, and power fluctuated, threatening to leave them adrift in that twisted space. The dark entity seemed to feed on their despair, growing bolder, its shadows dancing closer to the ship, touching the hull with tendrils of darkness that left icy marks wherever they touched. Captain Vasquez, refusing to succumb to despair, called her crew to an emergency meeting. "We're not giving up," she declared, her voice cutting through the palpable fear. "Rajan, I need you to find a solution to our power issues. The rest of you, prepare for anything. We're going to fight with everything we've got." Dr. Rajan, inspired by the captain's determination, worked tirelessly, his fingers flying over the controls. In a moment of inspiration, he proposed a risky idea, redirecting all available energy to the ship's shields, creating a burst of pure light that, theoretically, would repel the darkness. It was a gamble, but it was all they had. Meanwhile, the dark entity intensified its assault, as if sensing their imminent attempt at escape. Thunderous sounds echoed through Icarus's hull, and the shadows twisted into grotesque forms, battering against the shields like furious waves against a cliff. The crew, united in their purpose, worked feverishly to implement Rajan's plan, each member aware that this might be their last chance. With the energy redirected, Icarus's shields glowed with blinding intensity, a beacon of hope in the oppressive darkness. For a moment, the entity hesitated, recoiling in the face of the light. Vasquez, seizing the opportunity, ordered the leap into the unknown. "Now, Rajan." The scientist activated the fold sequence, and the ship trembled violently, more than ever before. The light from the shields intensified, battling the darkness trying to engulf them. And then, with an almost audible snap, reality bent around Icarus, and they shot through the distorted space, leaving behind the darkness and the entity that resided within it. The leap was an act of blind faith, a desperate toss to escape the inescapable. When the ship finally emerged on the other side, the crew found themselves gasping, disoriented, but alive. They had emerged in an unknown stellar system, the stars softly shining, a welcome contrast to the darkness they had faced. They did not know where they were, nor if they could find their way back home. But at that moment, it didn't matter. They had survived, faced the unimaginable, and emerged victorious. Icarus and her crew had stared into the abyss and returned to tell the tale. Now, before them lay the vast unknown, a universe full of mysteries to unravel and horrors, perhaps, to confront. But they would face them together, as a team united not just by mission, but by the shared experience of having looked into the heart of darkness and found within themselves the light to fight back against it. The stars were unrecognizable, a constant reminder that Icarus and her crew were lost in an unknown part of the universe, perhaps even in a different galaxy. Every constellation they charted, every spectrum of light they analyzed, only confirmed the harsh reality: they were far from home, with no hope of returning. The possibility of finding a way back to familiar space seemed more and more like a distant fantasy, a dream shattered by the inscrutable vastness of the cosmos. Yet, amidst the desolation of the unknown, a point of light emerged as a beacon of hope. The ship's sensors detected a planet within a habitable zone, an incredible rarity considering the infinite number of inhospitable worlds filling the universe. Preliminary analyses revealed that the planet was not only habitable but also astonishingly similar to Earth in its atmosphere and ecology. Faced with this discovery, Captain Vasquez made the decision that would shape the future of her crew. We're going there. If we can't return home, we'll make this planet our new home. Icarus descended into the planet's atmosphere with cautious grace, landing gently on a vast green plain surrounded by dense forests and majestic mountains in the distance. The air was pure, and the land, fertile, promised sustenance and a new beginning. The crew, though relieved to finally have solid ground beneath their feet, couldn't help but feel the melancholy of knowing they were isolated, perhaps forever, from their home world and their loved ones. In the following months, Icarus transformed from an exploratory vessel into a command center for the foundation of a new human colony. Using the advanced resources of the ship and the technology they had brought, they began to build shelters, cultivate food, and explore the surrounding territory. With each day, the planet became less an exile and more a home, a new Earth for these explorers lost in space. Knowing that any communication sent to Earth would take millions of light years to arrive, if it ever did, the crew decided to record their experiences, knowledge, and hopes in a time capsule. This capsule, buried in the heart of the colony, contained not just scientific data and star maps but also personal accounts, messages to loved ones, and artworks created by the crew, a legacy of humanity in a distant corner of the universe. Life in the colony flourished. Generations were born, each further removed from Earth than the last, but all carried the flame of curiosity, courage, and determination that had guided Icarus through the stars. They were now citizens of a new world, guardians of a new human story. Though the hope of returning home had vanished, the mission of Icarus had evolved from a quest for the unknown to the foundation of a new beginning for humanity. They had become more than explorers, they were pioneers, building a future on a planet they had adopted as their own. On clear nights, when they gazed at the star-filled sky, filled with unfamiliar constellations, they no longer saw a reminder of their isolation but rather the vast stage of their new possibilities and the enduring legacy they would leave for future generations in this forgotten corner of the universe. Dare to venture into the unknown. Join us on a journey where shadows whisper and secrets lurk. Subscribe now and ring the bell to summon fresh mysteries directly to your screen every few days. Ignore this call, and be warned, an eternal curse awaits those who wander in the dark, unguided. Do you have the courage to face the unknown? Your adventure begins with a click. Welcome to the realm where every notification brings you closer to the abyss. Subscribe, if you dare.